Well, good morning. Breakfast at the Broker every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. And we've been busy behind the scenes. We actually contracted for a podcast studio time, and we're excited about that. Where our podcast and our show goes. We've been doing this for over 4 years now. Just about every Tuesday. We've missed some, but not many. And so we have quite a lot of content, and we are very appreciative of our supporters, our followers. And if you do like it, please leave a review, and share our podcast. We certainly would appreciate it. Maybe someone else would like to see the valuable content that we provide. And our next guest, is an amazing person. She is also a friend of mine. So let's get it started. And now, by way of South Windsor, Connecticut, she's a real estate sales associate at eXp Realty. She's the vice president at large at Connecticut Realtors. She is a real estate coach for Ricky Caruth. She's the founder of the Next Level Lifestyles. She's a daughter, a wife, and an amazing singer. She is Alexa Kebalo Hughes.
Oh my gosh, that was quite the intro.
Well, good morning.
Wow. Good
You know,
morning. Thank you so much. I don't know that I could live up to such an incredible introduction.
oh, yes, you can. I saw you get up on stage at President's Circle in the Bahamas when, and not to get you emotional or anything like that, but, Alexa, you're of Ukrainian descent, and you got up on stage in President's Circle, and I didn't even know you were at President's Circle, and blew us all away. And there wasn't a dry eye
Oh,
in the audience, and we appreciate the efforts that you're doing for your family, and for your ancestry.
oh. David, thank you so much. That means so much. I can't tell you how hard it was for me to even go to President's Circle. Literally, I'll never forget. I was in bed with my husband. You know, when you have like an early flight, your alarm goes off at 3 a.m. And I wake up to like all this awful news that there's war breaking out in Ukraine. And I go to my husband, I'm like, babe, like, I don't even know what to do. I'm like, I feel weird going, but I feel like I need to go because if anything, I'm going to be with a bunch of realtors at President Circle, which is, supporting our Realtor Political Action Committee. And maybe there's something I can do there that will actually make a difference. Like, what am I going to do sitting at home? And it's so crazy. You said you didn't even know I was there because I wasn't really posting I was there because I felt so bad that I was like in the Bahamas while all my family in Ukraine is, like literally ready to bear arms. And there was a moment when I was talking to my uncle Vasil, and I was talking to my cousins Volodya. They're all last name Kebalo. I have several cousins there. I met with them. We hung out so many times, but I was in Ukraine about 5 years ago, and I'll never forget my uncle, my Voiko. He goes, Alexa, you are the Kabbalah with the largest voice. We need you to use your voice to help us. And I literally was like, oh my God. And David, you know what came through my mind? It was right before the talent show. It was like literally 45 minutes before the talent show. I was literally in my bathing suit, sand, salty, like didn't even shower yet. And like it popped in my head, like just Alexa, sing the Ukrainian national anthem at the talent show. So just like that, I got on the phone with our friend Lee Brown, and she's like, yes, let's do this. My husband made a GoFundMe type of thing. And in like 45 minutes later, I found myself on stage singing the Ukrainian national anthem and just taking inspired action, and it's crazy the impact that was made, not only to those in the room, but to me. And like, I felt like I was almost watching, but then my family, the outpour from my family in Ukraine, from the people in my community in America, the Ukrainian American community, my organizations, like it's incredible what happens when you actually take that inspired action. You don't doubt yourself, right? I didn't have time to doubt myself. So thank you for bringing that up because it was just one of the most incredible moments.
It was for us as well. As we're all, witnesses to it. We, I get chills even just talking about it. And I'm not of Ukrainian descent, right? But I feel and empathize with the people of Ukraine. And so, when we look at, how do you take inspired action? You have to, and I teach my kids this all the time. I said,
No,
you have to advocate for yourself and you have to advocate for your family, because if you don't, no one else will. And
that's
but
right.
taking that step, and let's talk about that. Taking that step for inspired action is a big deal. And how do you get over the hump? Because a lot of times there are a lot of limiting beliefs that are in your mind that are telling you, don't do it, don't do it, don't do this, whatever. um you know but you did it, and it's motivating, it's inspiring, obviously. And we're very appreciative of it.
Oh, well, I love that you're asking me this question because having experienced this, like what happens when you are brave and you take that action, that inspired action, right? So often we have an idea and we doubt ourselves or we question or we're thinking, nah, like all the things that are going through my head. It's like, do I even remember how to sing the Ukrainian national anthem? Can I make a GoFundMe link in 45 minutes? Can I even get out of my bathing suit that's still wet and get changed and look presentable to even be on stage? Slash, will they even allow me to like get on stage? Like so last minute, you were supposed to enter like weeks in advance if you wanted to partake. But you know what kept on coming through was it's about that why. Like, why am I doing it? It's not for me. It's for the cause. It's for showing people hope and love and that we can do this together. And so what happens is when you take away your ego, when you take away, I may look like a fool, I may not get dressed in time, it may not work out. When you stop doubting yourself and then just let the vision of what you're trying to achieve and the feeling that you're trying to achieve of let me see how I can help, when you let that drive you, when you let the love and all that drive you versus the fear, right? I'm going to look silly, da, 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 whatever, or it's not going to work out. Don't listen to those voices. And this is a perfect example of I didn't have time to question and to be like, can I really pull this off? Nope. I was like, I'm going for it. And this is like so crazy that I'm going to even try to pull this off in about 45 minutes. But like, what do I have to lose? I'm like, my family's fighting a freaking war right now. Like, what do I have to lose? What's the worst thing that's going to happen? What, I stumble on my words? I forget how to sing the anthem. I trip on stage and fall on my face. Who cares? That's nothing compared to what people are actually going through. And I think that if we, as just going through our day to day, that's an extreme example, right? But I think that I take that with me and I've been practicing this through COVID, there's a lot of introspection and things like that. And, you know, the more in tune we can be with our why and what moves us, and then also the more we can be our number one supporter instead of our number one doubter, the more we can take the actions that are inspired that can actually create a beautiful world, right? So I think not listening to those negative voices, don't give that any energy, just focus on what could be and the why behind it and really thinking about, they always say think about your audience, right? In this case my audience was a bunch of realtors, but it was a bunch of people throughout the world that could be inspired. I was thinking about my family. I was thinking about, you know, I was told later that I have several uncles that are priests. I was told later that, one of my uncles, he actually showed the broadcast, after the fact to his parishioners. He had over 1,000 people that watched me sing. I'm like, oh my gosh, and all he said was my family in America, the Americans are with us, they're supporting us. So don't think about yourself, think about the impact. And don't care that you may trip, you may look silly. What's the worst thing that's going to happen, right?
Who
You just
cares?
pick up and keep going.
Yeah, I
So
mean, and the funny thing is that the more you trip up and the more you potentially are nervous, or you do something that maybe isn't the perfect scenario, the more authentic and genuine you look. And because we all do it, right? But one of the things that you gave us up on stage is not only did you educate us, right? You educate us, but you gave us a link, right? Not all of us have a link to Ukraine. Not all of us, gave it a personal story where we look at the news and we see all this bad stuff, and a lot of times we compartmentalize things and we say, oh well, it's not happening to us. And then you gave us that link, and now all of a sudden it's happening to our friend, right? It's happening to the realtor community. It's happening to the realtor family. And if we are one, we need to be with you. And so, I commend you for doing it. And I always love when, things happen, for all these kind of crazy reasons. And, you know, people just shine through and just burst through or bust through the walls, of all these obstacles. So, I
It's
certainly applaud you.
beautiful. No, thank you. And honestly, more than anything, our realtor community is incredible, right? Like I've never felt more like love and support and like out outpour just we're here, we're with you, right? And, even our president, Leslie Ruda Smith, and Lee Brown, who I had called and I said, Lee, can we pull this off? She's like, let me ask Leslie. And then Leslie took this story of us trying to help and took it to the next level and invited me back to speak at the board of directors that met at mid-year meetings, legislative meetings. So it's like as realtors, we champion each other and we champion what's for the greater good. And we don't question it, we don't doubt it. We just go for it, and we are there to support each other. And knowing that we're all just here to help our communities, right? We're all just here to make a better world. And as realtors in our realtor organization, which I'm so proud to be a part of on the local, state, and national level now, I mean, we are making such a tremendous impact. And anyone that thinks like why get involved or, you know, it's because this is where change can happen. There's 1.5 million of us. We're the largest trade association in the entire world. Like think about that. The largest trade association in the whole world. And as realtors, we're in every corner of every community throughout the world. And we can make a difference when we serve our clients from a happy and whole place. We're making a difference in their lives, right? So I think that for anyone listening, it's just realize how much impact you can make, whether you are on stage or whether you're just serving the community one client at a time or showing up, for something in your community. Like just realize that, you know, you're a lighthouse for many people. You're a leader. We're each leaders in our lives. We're leaders of our clients, of our families, of our communities, and for those of us that like to be more involved in our realtor associations. And I think that just having that why and wanting to give back and to actually know that you can make a real change is just the most impactful thing.
As a realtor serving communities, making a difference is always something, that people strive for. And you can continue to make a difference on a micro level or a macro level, right? So and the crazy thing is a lot of these stories aren't told. A lot of these stories aren't seen,
That's right.
behind the scenes, where realtors are really serving these communities and giving back and propping up helping those that need to be helped, and all these other different things. So as realtors, we couldn't be prouder.
Oh,
How do we help? I know you have a GoFundMe, an organization as well, that that how do we give back to Ukraine?
oh. So I actually just shared a link that you're welcome to post that actually goes to my Ukrainian American Youth Organization. And this actually, we have a lot of control over where the funds go. My cousin's a treasurer. Like I mentioned, we have so much family in Ukraine. So we're listening to them. We're hearing them. Who needs the most aid? Is it humanitarian aid, military aid? We've done it all at this point. We even gathered, I think we gathered about 200 vests and sent it over. So there's so many different ways to help. But what I would recommend is that anyone that, of course, financially wants to give, you're welcome to use that link, and I'll make sure the funds go to a really incredible place.
What,
We've been helping
what's the link?
orphanages late. So I actually just put it. Let me put it. So
I was
it's
just going to
the
show it on screen.
the bit.ly, I'll actually text it to you as well, but I have a bit.ly that'll go right to my Ukrainian American youth organization. And that way it's going to go right to who needs it. And it's http://bit.ly/UA-HUM-aid. So that's one way you can help out. But also, honestly, anyone that wants to get involved, just feel free to reach out to me because I can guide you. Even if there's like a local organization, I can connect you with local organizations to you. A lot of people were really helpful gathering, clothing and non-perishable goods and medical aid and things like that. What we found is that to ship, because we got so much stuff, we found to ship was actually sometimes more expensive than to just send money there and then they bought the items, let's say in Italy or Poland, and then brought it over the border. So definitely feel free to reach out to me if you want to help but you're not sure how. I'd be happy to connect you guys and help you get to where you can make the most impact. But quite frankly, the monetary donations, we're able to make sure they're going to a place that will make the most impact.
That's awesome. And we'll post that link on as well.
Thank you.
So let's talk about real estate. How's the market in South Windsor?
Well, it's good. I mean, listen, I'll always say it's good because it is good, right? People are going to buy and sell houses each and every day. I don't care what's happening in the world. We saw that with the dot-com crash, 9/11. We've seen it, right? We've seen so much, and still people are buying, selling houses each and every day. I think that at the end of the day, we have to make adjustments as realtors and we have to make adjustments as consumers. But guess what? We're the face, we're the ones that are here, we're the beacon of light. So make sure, real estate agents, you're not going out there, and Dave and I were talking about this a little bit before we went on. Make sure we're telling people the facts and what's happening and showing them the opportunity. We don't need to lead from a place of fear. We can lead from a place of opportunity and a place of informed decisions for people. So what's happening in Connecticut is that, I mean, statistically speaking, we finally, I don't know if you know this, but we were the last state in the entire nation to recover after the market crash, the housing market crash. And we actually just recovered like a year and a half ago. We hit our peak pricing. And now we actually have experienced about 19% appreciation above that, which is fantastic. We finally have realized, the normal appreciation that most of the rest of the nation had already experienced years prior. So in Connecticut, I don't feel that we're way overly inflated, which is great. It's kind of more of a correction, and COVID drove that correction. We had a lot of people from New York and Boston and just wanting more space, because in Connecticut, we're sandwiched between, New York and Boston there. So we had a lot of influx of demand instead of usually we have a lot of people leaving our state to go to, sunnier Florida, David. So our market kind of more normalized in that sense. And in the last few weeks, so I'll just give you an example. About 2 weeks ago, I put something on and I love just comparing apples to apples, around 500. We ended up getting around 600, right? Multiple offers. Last week, just 1 week later, I put another one on in that same price point, same market, a little bit of crickets. So it's very telling. Things are kind of shifting. But here's what I'll tell you is that I told my client, same thing I told my clients. I said, listen, things are shifting. It's a critical time. Obviously, the cost of living's going up, everything's going up, inflation, gas, I mean, goodness gracious. But what we're going to do is we're going to put it on for this price, and then we're going to make adjustments in a timely manner if necessary. We're going to know in about a week where this is going. So here we are. It's time to revisit the conversation, right? So they will still end up getting more than what they had hoped for, but it's just about being more timely and helping inform the clients and set the expectations. Listen, guys, we're at a critical time. I'm not sure exactly where this is going to go, but let's adjust accordingly. The same thing for buyers, right? Traditionally speaking, buyers will maybe they be up against 20 different offers, right? And now there's so much more opportunity. So this is a good thing because let's face the facts. Most people need to sell. Whenever they sell, they end up purchasing. There are some people that are in a unique situation where they're just trying to sell and they already have where they're going. But there's nothing better than a little bit more of an equal playing ground. And so that way it's kind of an easier volley back and forth, right? Where they're able to get into their homes that they're looking for without being outbidded so much. So that's what I'm seeing. That's the neutral ground we're coming to. Are you seeing the same thing in Florida, David?
Yeah, very similar. It's an opportunistic market. As you alluded to, one of the things is that, you know, it's funny because, buyers have been, yelling and screaming and stomping, their feet and saying, "Hey, I want more choices. I want more inventory. I don't want to have to compete with, 10, 15, 20 buyers." And now they have to compete with two, and they're having more inventory, and they're like, well, why is it on the market for 8 days or 12 days or 20 days or whatever? Right. So, it's always what we always want what we don't have. But yeah, I mean, the market itself, we're seeing increased inventory, but the inventory that is coming on is either they're going crazy with the prices because they still believe that, sellers are still believing that they're going to get more than what the last person paid for it. And we're not at that point anymore. We're getting it less, so, more, to all the sellers out there and to all the realtors that are pricing properties and obtaining listings, please do me a favor. Make sure you set their expectations and make sure you price it right. Because if you don't price it right, it's going to go expired. We're seeing more and more where if we don't price it at the right price or slightly above the right price, they're just not selling. And it's not because if and I hate when sellers say this, well, we could always go lower, we can't go higher. It's just not true. The problem is that the buyers are going to perceive that it's just too overpriced for me to even look at it. The one thing you have to do is gain the interest of a buyer, gain the eyes of buyers before they're going to come and see your property. We're in a
That's right.
different we're in a different market. We're in different mindsets, perceptions, all kinds of crazy stuff going on right now in the world, and so many moving parts that we all need to educate each other and make sure that we sell your property and reach the objective.
Couldn't have
So
said
what
it better myself.
Well, I mean, setting expectations, right, is one of the, to me, one of the biggest things that we can do as a realtor community.
Exactly. And of course, it's always up to them what they want to do, but we owe it to our clients to really understand what's happening so that we can express to them what we think and set the expectations of what the market is saying, right? Because it's not what we
Uh,
think, it's really what the market is saying.
So where should we market? Like, people are like, oh, shoot, I don't have any closings, or I have one or two closings and I don't have any listings, or I have too many listings, so we always want what we don't have, like we said. But, we're grasping at straws, right? We're like, oh, should we do lead generation? Should we do marketing? Oh, what's worked for you?
Oh my gosh. So let me tell you guys something. One of my favorite things is this creating listings campaign that I have. So how many times have we had a buyer and they've missed out on properties? Even now, let's say there's not as much inventory, there's not as much of a selection. Like where I am, there's still not as much of a selection as my clients would hope for, right? So anytime I've had a client that's like missed out in a specific neighborhood, or let's say they want to purchase in a specific neighborhood, and we found, okay, this is their criteria, this is what they want. I have this creating listings campaign that my partner Ricky and I came up with, where we literally will target and canvas a specific neighborhood. And I have this beautiful letterhead, just letterhead, and then you handwrite, it says, Dear Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, my client is really interested in a home purchasing in your neighborhood. Would you ever consider client selling to a prospect of mine? Right? Throw in your business card in there, send it in the mail. One of my agents even got a wax stamp, like those little wax things.
That's
Oh my
cool.
God. He had such a huge open rate and then following up with the phone calls. So one of our best one of our best results where he canvassed, I think it was like 175 units condo, right? And he got 8 listing appointments and 3 listings. And then our buyer that he had was able to get under contract with one of those properties. So it's incredible what happens when we just take a little bit like a further step because there's a lot of sellers. There's a lot of pent up demand of people looking to sell. It's just a matter of reaching out to them. But here's my thing. Oh, good morning, Michael Glickman. Here's my thing is don't ever do anything unless you don't have that pure energy behind it, right? I would never do something like that unless I actually had the buyer, right? I would never just canvass a market, say, I have a buyer, call me if there wasn't the true genuine energy behind it, because the first thing people say is, do you really have a buyer? And I want to be like, yes, I do, and I want to help you and I want to help the buyer client, right? And I think that at the end of the day, people need to realize whether it's a creating listings campaign or whether it's an open house or Facebook ads or just networking out in their community. Like I do a lot with Business Networking International, just networking with different people in different professions, right? And just telling them, I would love to be your go-to. You can be my go-to as well. Whatever you need, anything Connecticut for someone to buy or sell, right? But like, I think what people don't realize is that every single person that you talk to, when you do this campaign or you reach out to people, oh yeah, I'm good for now. Keep in touch with them, right? And what I learned a lot the hard way. David. I'm sure we all learned a lot of lessons the hard way. But what I found was that the larger my database got, the harder it was for me to keep in touch with everyone, right? Doing this 11 years now, I can't believe it. But I had a point in my career where I was literally like burnout zone. I think you know my story, but it's like I got Realtor Magazine's 30 to 30, and I'm like, oh shit, I made it. I made it. Why does my life suck? Why do I have no quality life? Why do I have no physical voice? My voice was gone. And it's because for me to nurture my database, I was doing calls, personal notes, I was doing Popeyes with gifts, and it's like, and client luncheons. I had no time to even do anything else, right? The leftovers of the leftovers of the leftovers was coming home, you know? And it's just like never ending machine. So what I love is, oh, sorry, my dog. What I love is that there's a simplified approach. And that's why I love working with my friend Ricky Caruth at Zero to Diamond, right? He has literally simplified the game where we do a weekly email to our clients. So you know what? You could still do the calls, you could still do the notes, you could still do the Popeyes, do the lunches, but make sure that you're hitting everyone and make sure you're hitting them all, right? Because if you have a database of 5,000, expect 1% of that database if you do the weekly email to actually buy or sell at any given year. Because for me, I was like, I can't keep up with this transactional treadmill and doing all these touches. So I think I really urge people to simplify their businesses and focus on the activities and the follow up that's going to make sure that you don't ever like let anyone fall to the wayside, right?
Love it. So thank you for all this information. We really appreciate it. And
Oh,
I always end the conversation on 2 questions. One is, what's your favorite streaming series of all time, and what are you currently watching?
oh my God. So right now, my husband and I, we're watching Below Deck Sailing because we just love the ocean. We love like, I swear, on my vision board, it's like when I make it, I want to like sail around the world like Kenny freaking Chesney on like a catamaran. I don't even know. So that's like that's my vibe right now. Favorite series of all times. I mean, I'm so bad at this, David. I'm really bad at this. Hmm. I mean, Game of Thrones was wild.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever been so sucked into like a show in my whole life. I think it's Game of Thrones.
I would
How
agree.
about you? What's yours? I need to know yours.
Um, wow. I also believe that Game of Thrones was just and it's not really what I'm normally into because I'm not really into that Dungeons Dragons kind of stuff. But but it sucked me in, especially with the Red Wedding episode. That just absolutely drew me in.
Yeah.
I'm currently watching the last season of Peaky Blinders. If
Oh
you
my
haven't
God,
watched
I love them.
yeah, Peaky Blinders is great. So I really, really enjoy that. And, it does get boring at parts and stuff, and you got to like stick through it. And it's not like one of those series where you could binge watch, I don't believe. I think you can watch like
Mm.
2 episodes at a time before you start to like, all right, I need something like, My Little Pony or something.
You're so right about that. You're so right. Maybe not about My Little Pony, but I feel you on that.
So, but yeah, it's all good, and I love hearing different perspectives of different shows and whatnot. So
So
it's really
fun.
really cool. So, Alexa,
Aw.
I cannot thank you for enough.
No.
Please, in summary, please support Ukraine. Please support Ukrainian efforts, as well as we'll drop the link on the Facebook as well as the podcast. And we certainly appreciate you. You have to manage your expectations. We're in an opportunistic market, and we need to take opportunities and let the buyers and sellers know that there are opportunities out there. So
No.
you have a wonderful week, Alexa.
Thank you for
And
having
where else
me.
can we follow you?
So you could follow me on Instagram, Alexa Kebalo Hughes, my name. That's kind of where I hang out. I have some friends that are trying to urge me to get onto TikTok, so I may be a TikToker soon. I don't know, but for now, that's where you could find me. I mean, you could follow me on TikTok also. I don't really have anything on there, but yeah, I would love to connect with you guys. Facebook as well. I maybe maxed out on friends, but there's always room on Instagram.
Awesome. Well, thank you again. And Breakfast with the Broker every Tuesday. We have an exciting episode next week. The Broward, Palm Beach, and St. Lucie Realtors Association put out an amazing local consumer facing campaign. It's called Only a Realtor, so onlyarealtor.com. And we're going to discuss, why they did that, and with President Carlos Melendez coming on July
Awesome.
5th. So at
Can't wait to
9
hear
a.m. So
that.
be sure to tune in. Have a happy 4th, and thank you very much, Alexa. Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Be well.
David.
Bye.